Ilya, how you doing, man?
I am doing pretty good, brother. How are you?
I'm amazing, man. What
I
you been
love
up
it.
to recently?
Uh, man, I've been all over the place to be honest with you. I've there's been some lows, there's been some highs, and everything in between. So I'm just experiencing at this point, you know.
Right, all right. What have you been up to this last couple weeks? Is that the lows and highs been right there? Has it been
Yeah, for
so where
sure.
have you been at?
Yeah, I've been in a. I'm sure you understand like creative ruts, writer's block as an editor, all that kind of stuff, mixed with like mental health as well. Who doesn't struggle with mental health in our generation, right?
No
Like,
one?
I feel like almost like a. Can I cuss on here?
Yeah, I don't care. Whatever
Okay.
you want, man.
I always feel like a piece of shit for even bringing that up because I feel like everybody struggles with mental health, and it's like, oh, you struggle with mental health? Everybody does, like,
Yeah.
but it's a real thing. And it's crazy how much that can affect like your creative side, like editing and taking on projects, talking with clients, like. And again, this is pretty like I'm not saying anything new here, but it's like it's a real thing. And yeah, I've just been like really just dealing with a lot of mental health stuff and just being honest with myself, brutally honest with myself, where I want to take everything that I'm doing, um, what I need to do as a person to like better myself so that I can take on bigger and better projects. So I can like work on the things I want to work on because I feel like, and I know you probably can relate to this, like you focus so much on the skill side of it, like on the like getting up better as an editor, right? Getting better as a filmmaker. And you're like, that's all you're focused on, right? And then you reach a certain cap, and until you like work on your foundation as a person and how you actually treat people and like what your whole shtick is, you can't really go. And I feel like that's it with everything, like with not just creative career stuff, but like with relationships, fitness, everything, like everything that's important to people, or at least to me. And so I feel like, yeah. So that's not to like go off on a tangent, but that's where my head's at.
No, yeah, I mean, mental health for sure. Everyone goes through it, and I feel like, especially from a creative standpoint, I would almost say that the skill level that it takes to be a creative that everyone looks at and be like, yo, that's sick. It's like unhuman at this point.
Yes, bro.
It takes so much of you to do it. I'd say I'm in a good spot with the work I've been putting out, but like the work I do have to put in to do that, and like I don't really think about my mental too much. It's literally just like it's unhuman amount. Like I sacrifice a lot to put out what I put out. So is
Bro.
that good? Is that not good? I don't know. It's just
It's
what I
so
do. So
it's such a relief to hear that from another creative.
yeah.
Because like you started going insane after a while. Like I mean, you nailed it right there when you said it's inhuman. Like I literally most of the time, like you said, to put in to get the quality that we want with our work, like the amount of hours, the amount of just like bullshit and just like it's insane, bro. It is crazy, and like it's cool because those are the sacrifices you have to make to be great, and like that's what you said too. Like I was talking with my mom about this a few weeks back about mental health and stuff, and she brought up a really good point. She was like, "There's not a single like legendary musician or artist or famous whatever that wasn't like to an extent a little fucked in the head." You know what I mean? Like
Yep.
every single like famous whoever, inventor, musician, athlete, all the greats, right? To an extent, and most of them to a very high extent, pretty fucked in the head. Like pretty like imbalanced as far as like all they're focused on is like the thing they want to be great at, and then everything else is like a side mission, side quest. And if I get to it, I get to it, and if I don't, then I guess life is just gonna get complicated. But I'm still gonna like art is still number one. Like that's like the artist voice in my head will not let me quit. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
so that yeah, 100%. I know what you're saying.
Yep. I have yet to hear a figure that we know by name that hasn't had a screwed up childhood or just like screwed up in the head, or not screwed up. Screwed up so hard, but it's true. I mean,
Yeah, lack of a better term, but yeah.
yeah. Well, let's just run through a few. Why not? I mean, like I like to watch the Netflix documentaries. Like a lot of the sports ones are really really good. So
Yeah.
we talked about like Arnold Schwarzenegger, and like he just spent all of his time in the gym. He had two parents, but like it was all like competition in his head. He couldn't see it any other way. And so it's literally just his life was so boring because it was so simple, because he just did the same thing over and over again. And that he got to where he was because he did the same thing over and over again.
Exactly.
I mean, you see those like kind of almost, some of them are cringe, but those like motivational Instagram reels. And Mike Tyson talked about like he cries before every fight because he doesn't even know who he turns into. He has no control over it. And you know, that's how he was the best, is because he was someone that he didn't even know who he was. Like that's how locked in he was to that. And you know, Caitlin Clark, I mean, she's an Iowa basketball player. I don't know if you've seen her at all.
I don't think so, no.
Okay, so she's in the basketball scene, and people have been talking about her in the women's basketball scene. And she's like, even little things like, I got kicked out of PE in elementary school because of how competitive I was. Like,
really,
you know, it's just like every single, you know, figure you try to look at, they've had this extremely flawed past, or they've been so screwed up that they've been out of the bounds of normal society and what they make of it. So it's not normal. I mean, every single person goes through that, and we don't have the mental capacity to see that besides past ourselves. I can look at you. I can't. You're just living life, and I can't see anything more than that. I can't see your struggles just because the struggles I go through are it's so complex. You know what I mean? So it's impossible to recognize that. Every time you look at someone else, it's like, oh, they're probably fine. They're just living. They seem like they got a flow going.
Bro, you don't understand how hard I struggle with that every time. It can be whoever. It doesn't have to be another creative. It can be whoever. It's like there's an automatic assumption that they have their shit figured out, or at least like I know that nobody really has their shit figured out, right? Like, but my mind is like, oh, they have it more figured out than you. You know what I mean? And then I'll just run with that. And I've just recently been even gaining the awareness to even see how that's like a self-destructive like pattern. You know what I mean? Like that's like such a self-sabotaging way of thinking, because like, bro, if I look at everybody around me, everybody on social media, and we know social media is a highlight reel anyway, especially for creatives, especially people that literally our job is to edit videos and make people look cool. So imagine how cool and personal branded we can make ourselves look. Like, I mean, that's insane. I'm sure you can relate. People talk to me all the time, especially people that are not filmmakers or video people, just people. They're like, dude, your social media, you're here, you're there, you're working on this, your life is like, and it's like almost heartbreaking, because you're like, dude, if only you knew, like, if only you knew, like, what I think about when I'm alone laying in bed at night with no distractions, no phone, no TV playing, when I'm just like silent and like my thoughts, just me and my thoughts. Dude, it's like I feel like the worst person alive. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Or even if you feel fine that day, just the amount of things you do or just bounce around your head, you can't turn it off. So it's even in that way. But yeah, that's one big thing. I mean, I've taken more of like a personal brand content creation position here in the last year, less creative focused, even though a lot of my content is creative. And that gives me a perspective on what other content creators must feel. I've been going daily on about every platform for a few months now, and weekly pods, weekly YouTube videos, weekly newsletter. And of course, I mean, what I've putting out is a pretty decent rendition of who I am, but you know how much of my life is spent on a computer to get all that stuff out? I mean, you know how much I'm just locked in this room. So
yeah, dude. And I think that's such a interesting point where you said you're going daily on most social medias.
Yeah.
I feel like in a way that's very stressful, but also in a way it's like therapeutic, like always reporting content of yourself. Like even what we're doing now, we're getting like shit off our chest, and like, you know, like, oh yes, somebody else that can relate to the struggle. And it's like, there's a certain, like, yes, you're going to have to edit this and go, you know, upload it and snippets and all this kind of stuff. Yeah. But it's like, there's always that silver lining to it where it's like, hey, at least there's a self-expression that's like, you know, it's like scratching some sort of itch, even if it's just a little bit, like an itch is being scratched, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, one weird random example, I mean, today, podcast at 6 p.m. I'm like, oh shoot, when is that recording? 6 for me, 7 for you.
Yeah.
I've been like weirdly like feeling weird all day, like maybe a little lightheaded from time to time. And then like 20 minutes before, I'm like, shoot, can I do this? But every single time I log on to these things, everything in life completely just erased itself, and the conversation I have with the individual across the screen is empowering and inspiring. So it's like, if you can put yourself into a routine and like not care about all the BS that's going on in your head, or, you know, if I was actually deathly sick, maybe that'd be a different story. But
For sure.
there's nothing greater in this world than networking and talking and experience things that other people have to do. So it's when you get into a routine where you put yourself in front of where you need to be put in front of, it gets pretty sick. Now, that's hard to do with creativity. A lot of times it's, you know, especially here for me a few years ago when I was less of a content creation perspective and more of a creative, I'm just going to do whatever, whenever perspective. There's no routine. And to be able to sit down and do a project just randomly, like a random opportunity comes up, and to put a ton of work into it and maybe not see payoff from it, terrible. I mean, it's just hard to sit down and do it. I would assume, I don't know, where are you at in your creative journey? Are you doing just fun stuff that you're thinking? Are you getting paid projects, or is your goal not even to get paid projects? I mean, where are you at? I've seen some of your stuff, but I don't know the details.
That's a great question. Probably I'm assuming most people, I have passion projects, right?
Yeah.
Projects that I would do if money was no object. I would still work on them. Like, it's what lights me up, what lights my soul on fire kind of thing. And then I have the freelance stuff that I do because money isn't a thing and I need to put money in my bank account to pay for shit, right? And so, like, I've kind of realized that the more I work on the passion projects, right, the less mental health bullshit and the less bullshit all around when I'm working on what I really want to work on. And the more I do the freelance stuff, yes, it pays money and like it can allow me to have the freedom to work on the stuff I actually want to work on. And that sounds great on paper, but it's like the amount, and I know you know this, the amount of effort it takes to even just do basic freelance gigs consistently, that's still creative energy you're putting into it. So like by the time that's all finished and the client's happy and whatever, like there's just physically less time and less energy to work on the stuff I really want to work on. And it's like deep down, I'm like, bro, like, what am I doing here? Like, why am I not just going all in on the passion projects and just like taking that to like you know what I mean? Because I know deep down, if I just like, fully just immerse myself in that, take that leap of faith, then it'll work out. But because I like being in that comfort zone of doing basic freelance stuff and getting paid for that, I'm kind of in this like cognitive dissonance of trying to basically bridge that gap. So like I want to, in an ideal world, and what creative doesn't want to do this, just work on dope shit with dope people, get paid a lot of money for it, and life's great, right? Like that's where I want to get to. And now I understand that it's never going to be like that. Even if I was getting projects that I completely love and it's super aligned with what I want to do, I'm still going to have to do things I don't want to do, right? Like fucking shot selection, no matter how dope the project is, shot selection fucking sucks after like a couple hours. Like you're over it, you just want to start on the edit, but you have to do shot selection, right? So there's always those little things. But ultimately it's like when I'm doing the freelance stuff, the paid stuff, it's like I'm not putting in my full creative effort into it because I can't. Like I like you'd have to pay me an insane amount of money to actually put in the effort that I put into my passion stuff into my freelance stuff. It's just not like, I just don't care about it that much. It's just there for money. And that's just me being brutally honest. You know what I mean? And some people are probably going to like, be like, damn, bro, like that's, but that's just me. That's just like where I'm at with it. That's my honest answer.
Well, that's completely natural. I'm curious, what is like the average freelance project that you're doing? Like how creatively taxing is it? Is it like, hey, Ilya, I want a completely like, what am I trying to say here? I want an edit about our business's story and how we got there, and I want it to be, your creative freedom. Or is it like, hey, Ilya, I want you to record a demonstration of how we install these into this car. Like, can you just edit and cut that?
It can range from that. It's like both of those, what you just said, and other stuff too. And it just always depends. It's just like, it's so unpredictable what I have in the pipeline, and that could be a good reason for as to why I'm feeling so frustrated with that. Is like if I just like kind of maybe dial in more on like getting more maybe basic freelance gigs, and that way I can have more creative energy. But that's like perfect world what if scenario. like if a freelance gig comes to me and it's like, okay, I'm gonna have to put in more effort. I know this is gonna be more creatively taxing, but it's, the money's good. It's like I'm gonna take that. You know what I mean? I'm gonna take that, and inevitably when I do take that and I'm running with it, and then I start on the edit and I'm just sitting there and I'm like, oh my gosh, bro, I should have asked for more money. I should have like charged more for this, because now it's like I'm a very like highly sensitive, empathetic person, including to myself. So like every little like action, every little thing I have to think about, to do, to every conversation, every text back with a client, like it's a big deal to me. It's like it's like a revisions. Oh, I got to finish this, and then I can't get paid until the client's fully happy. I have the 50% deposit, but I gotta finish these revisions. Now the client's taking forever to get me back. Yeah, like how that mess goes, right? And so like that alone gets me like. And that's just freelance life. Like I can't even complain, because I would still take that over like a 9-to-5 office fast food job or something, of course.
Yeah.
But regardless, it's still funny. It's still like a.
Yeah, let's talk about. Do you work a job to bring in some extra money right now? Or are you fully
I don't, man. I never really have. I worked at Subway for a couple of months when I was like a sophomore in high school. It was my family friend Subway. Just to like save up enough money to actually go to a YouTube convention that I was invited to go to. So it was like I just literally just needed some money to do that. And that was the reason I worked there. Besides that, I've literally been full-time freelance since I was like sophomore, junior year of high school is when like I actually started like making like decent. When I say decent money, I mean like enough money for a high school kid living with his parents to have like spending money. You know what I mean? Like
no, I get that. Yeah. No, we're all from the same. We're all from the same line. No one's making that much in high school. You're just from high school. It's hard not to be. Some people aren't. Some people do it, but not me. And you went right from high school to freelance too. You didn't try any other education.
Oh no, yeah. I think like 13, 14 years old, I was in middle school, and I like decided right then and there I wasn't going to college. I was like, and it's crazy because my dad is a college math professor. And he was like on board with the idea. That was like the craziest part about it. Because at that point, I started making videos when I was like 10 years old. So at that point, I was already like 4 or 5 years into it. And so like I kind of like proved myself in a way. Like I wasn't just like saying, hey, parents, I'm not going to go to college because fuck that. Yeah. Like I already had like a YouTube channel with like 1,000 subs, like doing the thing and being all up in my room working on stop motion Lego videos. Like I was already like locked in to as I could be at that age,
Well, it just sounds like you had an honest relationship with them, like when it came to the core stuff.
Dude,
like
I'm not going to lie. Like I hear so many creatives talking about how like their parents were so like against their filmmaking and their like, dude, I got so lucky, and like I don't even like I'm beyond grateful because I got like my parents were like pretty much like 95% like support. Like there's been very few times where they like pushed their parent agenda. Like I was literally like 15 years old, 16 years old. Going away to like a city an hour and a half away, staying the night, filming like trap videos, and like sophomore year of high school, and they were like cool with it. Like they understood because I had that light of that fire in my eye. I was like, I want to be the next Cole Bennett. Like this is, you know what I mean? Like it was that. Yeah. So
yeah, I mean, I also had 2 supportive parents, thank goodness. Not to flex 2 supportive parents, but
dude, that's a major flex in today's generation. I've noticed.
It is. And when they talk about like how much logic I came to them with the decisions of why I should do stuff, it just makes me laugh. I'm like, wait, why did I have so much logic with you guys? I mean, like this isn't what I hear from other people's parent relationships. It's like you just give them the truth and you put your work behind it, and they'll support you. And they wouldn't be parents if they didn't give them your 2 cents. And what's respectable is you can hear it and you can tell them, hey, I hear that, but I don't agree with that. And they're like, hey, at least you heard it, and I appreciate that. I mean, like even that was exactly. I really appreciated that about our relationship too. So
and that's like, bro, there's been times where my parents have actually like kind of almost worked as like business advisors to some of my like stuff, and they're like, hey, don't do that gig, or they would never like not allow me to do something, but they would be like, hey, just so you know, like
that's person
they were like, hey, like because we're 40 years old, 50 years old, we have this life experience, like we're just gonna let you know. I know you're too young and naive to see it now, but like this person's gonna fuck you over. This person is like doesn't have your best interest at heart. And bro, like not 9 times out of 10, they were right. And like, that's like what really like solidified that relationship as far as like the creative stuff, because I'm like, not only are they supportive, they're like actively like, hey, like do this, do that. Like, you know, or just suggesting, obviously not like pulling strings, but like, that was a big thing for me. It was like, damn, they could, even though they know nothing about filmmaking and videography like that, they could just see through people that I was working with and whatever, you know? So.
Yeah. No, shout out to that. I mean, I did the tasseling, which is something we do in the Midwest, where you take a tassel off the top of corn and you're out there for days in the summer, like 3 weeks straight, no days off, and that's just how it goes. I did that and I made $1,100, and then I came home and I'm like, hey parents, I want to live for myself and my ideas now. I'm gonna try a clothing brand. You mind if I drop $300 on a down payment for some stuff? Not a down payment, just one payment. And they're like,
Yeah.
you know what, sure, try it, man. You know, not a lot of people would be like, hey, that's not a good idea. What the heck? You're not going to get anything. But that was the start to Isaac Jarnagin getting a camera and then practicing all that. I mean, that was the start, even if the clothes hasn't stuck around. I mean, it's just important to have people around you that are supporting you, and obviously having logic behind it too. So I've been really appreciative of that. Sounds like you have been too.
For sure. Do your parents come from like a creative background where they could kind of like sympathize with that artist kind of like wanting to do, or they just like come from like a more like a normal 9 to 5 kind of thing?
They're your middle class Midwestern parents, so they're very normal, very normal. You're remind me where you are in the South.
Like, so I grew up in East Tennessee, but I currently live in North Carolina, about 3 hours from where I grew up, so very similar area. Winston-Salem, North Carolina. So not like super different from the Midwest besides like landscape and scenery, but as far as like people, it's like I've been in the Midwest a couple of times now, and it's similar like mentality for sure, you know?
Right. Yeah. Same with you. Did you have any creative background, or pretty just normal parents?
Yeah, pretty normal parents. Like my dad is like huge into like music, collecting like discs and back in the day, and like he listens to all the classic like rock stuff, classic like you know, stuff from the 70s, 80s, 90s, like, you know, very like diverse music and movie kind of background guy. My mom, not so much. So a little bit, you know, I had a little bit of like a little bit of a creative twang in there. But for the most part, it was just me 9 years old watching YouTube videos and be like, I want to be a YouTuber. That's really where it stemmed from.
Yeah. You talked about feeling unsure and unsteady a lot, so I'm going to share this out of my experience rather than an advice perspective. Don't take this as advice, because
for sure,
that's not what I want. But the peak of my mental struggles was it was during college, so that never helps anyways. But also it was the non-steadiness of knowing when things are coming in, like gigs and stuff, and I hated working. I probably had a job at that time too. Just like, every once in a while, run in, get some money, get out, which I never loved. Never loved any of my jobs. I did well. And then I got one gig that paid me $1,000 a month. That was consistent, but that was creative. And it wasn't the most fun, but it was a short amount of face-to-face time. Just got to record one thing and then record it and then edit it and turn it around and do that once a week. And the fact that I got to edit it whenever I wanted to, and use a camera and like put it out online. I mean, like for them. So it's kind of like a editing it was more of an editing and video creation approach. It was less of a social media management thing, but just being able to have that flexibility was a mix of a gig that I was okay with having, and it was not creatively taxing enough to where it would be a problem, and it gave me the benefit of like, oh my gosh, this is what people with actual jobs, that's why they like these jobs, is they get consistent income. That really introduced me to the retainer kind of thing. So I was kind of scrambling around, where are more of these? And so I got like another editing one, and then another more of like a content creation one. And then I was fine there. So like I would be able to do whatever I want on the side. You edit a little bit during the day, whenever you want, like what we all want to do. We don't want to be told when we want to do stuff. We get to choose when we go in to go shoot, all the things that we love. But the downside is you got to do a project that, you know, isn't extremely fun, but it's not extremely taxing either, you know.
Exactly.
You don't really have to think about it too much. It's more like brainless editing work. And that gave me some structure, and that got rid of the, all right, instead of things are really good here, things are really bad here, it gave me a little level out. And that's when things started to get a little better. And then everything after that was more my decision. So I decided I really like that style of things. I'm going to go into more of the SSM or SMMA, like social media management approach, and build up a business there. And it's been something I really enjoyed. But you know, I could see it going any direction, and that's the start. So just seeing that consistent flow makes your mind a little more consistent too. So that's something that really helped me. Have you ever ran into like a reoccurring gig like that?
Yeah, a couple of times. I just haven't really been able to maintain a retainer for longer than like 4 or 5 months, just because like I'm the kind of person that I just want to work on so many different things, like passion project related, that I know this is going to sound like so like selfish, but I can't help but like half-ass retainer work because I just want to work on the shit that I really want. I'm that stubborn about my passion stuff. It's like I treat it like I put it on such a pedestal. I'm like, no, this is what my life mission is, and this other shit I'm just like, I just need it for the money, but this, you know what I mean? And I'm working on that, and I'm like getting to the point where, like you said, it's, you know, you have to understand like why you're doing the freelance retainer stuff, and how that, you know, you're still serving somebody, and you're still, just because it's not the best thing you want to be doing, and you have other passion stuff, it doesn't mean that like it's not a good thing to do. You know what I mean? Like it's not like it's still something I should be doing. And like I said, I might come across as self that, you know, whatever, but again, I'm all about transparency and being really honest, and that's where I'm at right now. And like, I literally just lost a retainer. I mean, to be fair, it was like a 2-month retainer. And it wasn't even like because I was half-assing or anything like that. It was just like, it just kind of fizzled out. But I had that comfort of having like $3K a month come in. And it was like for $3K a month, it was like fairly minimal work. They're 2 hours away. So that was like the only kind of caveat. But I mean, dude, I know you're from the Midwest. So I know for a fact you guys if something's 3 hours away, you guys say it's down the road. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's like, it's not like down in the South as much, but it's very similar. Like you have to drive to get around. We're not in a big city, right? I forgot where I was going with that, but anyways, point of the matter is that like it was a pretty sweet setup, and it fizzled out, and now I'm like, dang, like I still have the one-off freelance stuff happening, but I'm looking for that next retainer, and I'm definitely gonna approach it because like that retainer was like it was very minimal work from my end as far as setting up like how it looked. Like we had phone calls and we discussed the structure, but it was like, I understand now that more has to come from my end, not just the filming and the editing and delivering high quality stuff fast. Like that's obviously one thing, but like actually structuring the retainer to where like it makes sense for me and them, and like they know the reasoning for why it's structured that way, why it costs this much. You know what I mean? Like instead of just kind of raw dogging it and like just like kind of like, okay, cool, it's set up. They're happy with this. They're somewhat happy with this price, and they're happy with the deliverables. Great. I'm just gonna run with this and put in I was trying to treat my retainer like a passive income thing, and that's just like doesn't work. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like a you know, a store, e-com store that you just set up and you do the work, and then like boom, you sit back and let the money, you know, flow me the money, right? Like, no, it's not that at all. And I knew that deep down, but there's a part of me that was like, I don't know what I was really thinking, to be honest with you. But that's again, you know, that's where I'm at.
Yeah, I mean, you do got to be there for them, you know. It is very active, you know. People will get a retainer, and then they'll say, "Oh my gosh, I got this with no work," until they have to work, and then they're like, "Oh shoot, this is kind of actually like a job." But it's
I don't know what I was thinking, bro. I really genuinely thought like, "Oh, cool, very simple, like great. This is like not like a real job." No, and it's way better than a real job, like no doubt. That's why we do it. But like, there's like, you're right, bro. There's definitely a level of commitment that you have to have to it as well. So
if you measure the commitment though, I mean, we know a high value skill, me and you. And so we can get that money that people work 40 hours for, and we can get it in 10 to 15, and it's perfectly ethical and worth it for them.
Exactly. Yeah.
Or even less depending on, you know, what work you're doing. So
For sure.
and really like they're paying for creativity a little bit, but they're almost paying for that consistency and I mean and quality too. So just going in with quality stuff and knowing how to quality put it together, there's not a lot of that creative taxing on the back end. So just like I totally relate. Like I get my stuff done, and then I'm throwing all my time at my personal brand than creative projects right at now. But I just love the feeling of that, and you know, when I was really able to dial in and put all my time toward this stuff was kind of when that, like, instead of me feeling fight or flight all the time with these extra gigs, I just kind of took them on and took a deep breath, and I'm like, I could do this every week, and I could spend the rest of my time doing that. So
it sounds like we're kind of going through similar stuff, because that's a very, like what you just mentioned, fight or flight, like being stuck in that like freeze, like just being so scared of commitments of like retainers and even like one-off freelance gigs. Like it's not as simple as just like somebody pays you, you do the gig, and you're good to go. Sometimes it is that simple, and when it is that simple, it's like I'm so grateful because it's, you know, boom, great. But dude, like, you know, people don't think about client revisions, right? And what all that can entail. Like client revisions can be very simple, and I know you know this, it can really get messy there. You know what I mean? Like that's probably the biggest like caveat for me, or one of them for sure, top 3 definitely, is like how messy that can get. Because I'm like, dude, like just take the thing and like leave me alone and pay me my rest of my money and leave me the hell alone. And it's like, no,
the music.
Yeah, like changing the song, like, you know, I'm cutting to the beat of the song, and it's like, if we change the song, you know what happens next. So it's like, but luckily I haven't had to deal with like too much of that, but enough to like really understand how much of a pain in the ass it is.
Yeah. It's been funny. Like, I'll say this, I truly support, I mean, I truly say, like, take every opportunity you can get. A lot of my people that have been there the longest and the most consistent and the least pain to deal with is people that are close to me, like family, friends, not family, but like friends in my network. So it hasn't been like hey, I'm Isaac, I'm going to email your marketing department and try to do this and try to get that. And I feel like that's where you'll get those like client revision type nightmare stuff too, is when you do that. So my first really easy ones were really, really close people. I'll hear people that like they're at a privileged spot, like their dad does something really cool, or their sibling started a business, and they're like, I don't want to be a part of that because that's theirs. And I'm just like, oh, take that opportunity. That's a blessing. I don't know. I mean, I kind of do that with my stuff too. Like, I mean, I don't have anything, you know, immediate family around me, but I do have some like close people that have given me opportunities, and instead of shying away and being like, no, that's a handout, I'm like, no, I'm going to take this and I'm going to blow it out of the park so I can go to other businesses and be like, hey, this is what I did for them. I'd like to do that for you too. And then the relationship I have with that person, I'm better at having that relationship with people that I don't have that relationship with. Like, it teaches me, this is the ideal relationship. How can I transfer this to people that I don't actually have that ideal relationship with yet? So, I mean, it's far away. This isn't easy, but this is actually weird to say. It only takes, no, it's less than that. I lived off of $1,000 a month for a few months. I mean, so like, it doesn't take a lot to live. Now, I would change my answer to $2,000 now. So like, yeah, it's like $1,000 or $2,000 to live, but like, it only takes $1,000 or $2,000 to live. Like, it only takes one $1,000 a month opportunity to go through, one or two $2,000 a month opportunities to go through, and then the rest is a bonus. I mean, just like,
oh yeah, I mean, you get a little one-off $500 gig here, little one-off $100 quick editing, one real thing here, and before you know it, you get stack up pretty fast. And like, dude, that's the thing too. Is like, I know, for me, it's, dude, I have fast months sometimes where it's like, dude, gigs are rolling in left, right, center. Like, boom, boom. I got a $2,000 gig here. $1,000 thing here, $500 thing here, and I'm balling. But then that month will end, and then for some reason the shit fizzles out, and like I can barely get barely 1,000, 1,500, 2,000 a month, and I'm like what is going? Like, why can't that fast month just be like the whole 12 months of the year? It's like only like 3 to 4 months of the year if I'm lucky. If like that's a good, and like that's not to say that the rest of the months are like $0. Like there's like medium neutral months where it's like not a lot of money, but not like only 1,000 or something. But there are I've had months where it's like barely even like scratching the surface of like 1,000, 1,500. But I mean that's just that's freelancing 101. Like that's just that's like
And it's funny you say that because I could not handle that at all. But maybe you just going through it and feeling the effects and feeling it, maybe that's exactly what you need to do for a year or two. And maybe that is what carves you out to be the person to end up in the opportunities that you want to be in. It's just it's a weird world, and I've grown an appreciation for struggle, which has been weird. I always thought I want to get away from struggle, but with a little bit of struggle, it's like, all right, I'm doing something right. And something else that you might relate to is I won't say this, but I had a very decent childhood. I didn't have to work hard if I didn't want to. I was meaning like to eat and to get your basic needs, and I had family and parents and whatever. Like I was very comfortable, and it feels like now I have to almost like give myself that slight trauma that other people give themselves to get to where they need to be. Like that's where I am right now. So I'm like training myself to be psychopathic almost.
Bro, we're in the same boat. I'm like going through the same exact shit, and I'm like, why am I suffering so much? And then I'm like, wait a second, let me remember like how pretty simple things are. I mean, they were never simple. Nothing's ever simple. No matter, you can come from a rich family doing nothing your whole life, but that doesn't mean that you don't have inner demons. You know what I mean? You can still, if anything, kids like that have more inner demons sometimes because they're so comfortable that they're uncomfortable, And like, that's what kind of happened with me. Yeah. I also had a very easy, like relatively easy childhood. Now my parents were never, we were like barely considered middle class. Like, so I didn't have to get like free lunch at school. I was like one tier above that. So like, I was like in this, which is a very like unique place to be because you see both worlds. Like all my friends were like rich suburban kids with rich parents, so it's like I had that perspective of that. But then like I went home from their house, from their big ass houses, to like my apartment with my parents, and like 2-bedroom apartment, and like I had that, like I understood from a very young age like kind of how things, different backgrounds, different incomes, and how things kind of work, you know what I mean? And started to get that, and I'm super grateful for that. And I would not change a thing. Like I would never want to go back and be like, I wish I had a rich. Like no, absolutely. Especially like it, and even like where my family was at financially, I had a relatively easy life. I mean, only child, so I got all the attention, I got all the gifts, like all that stuff. So like I cannot complain whatsoever. Like I got a car when I was 16, like not a new car at all, but got a used car at 16, like. So like I was like, no complaints at all. And like you said, bro, it's like now I'm going through more suffering than I want to go through, but it's like I'm learning to look at the suffering as an opportunity for growth, essentially.
Yeah, it's weird. I mean, but it's very necessary. This, and the world's weird for that, how it's designed that way. But but
for sure.
I wanted to touch on just like your background with like you've been very adamant about keeping up with people on socials and just check in with like saying, hey yo, this is fire, why is that important to you, and how long you've been doing that, why you've been doing that, because you do it, you're connected with a lot more people than the average person I see on socials, trying to put their brand out there.
For sure. I mean, I think you said it right there very well. When you just said I've connected with more people than the average person, because like I'm literally 100% of my income for over the last however many years has come either directly or indirectly from that. Like I remember like sitting in class sophomore year, junior year, and I would literally be DMing like 100 people. I know you know Gary V, right? And like you know him always preaching that DM 100 people with one. Like, dude, I took that shit like serious. Oh wow, dude, no way. Oh my gosh, this is awesome. That's crazy. Yeah, I don't understand about
We're the same guy. We're the same guy.
Dude, we're the same. I'm convinced, bro. I'm convinced we're the same person. But yeah, bro, that's what I was doing, and like I noticed that the better your personal brand is, the more engagement you get, the more legit you look on social media, especially Instagram, the more people take you serious, right? The more people are like, when I go and meet people at like concerts and events and networking or whatever, and I'd show them my Instagram, say, oh yeah, you get this many comments, you're like I would almost always have a mutual follower with somebody, so they're like, oh, you know this person, and I'm like, I don't even know them personally, I just have DM'd them before, and we have like an Instagram relationship, and that's how I know them, you know what I mean? But that establishes that credibility, and then that person that I just met randomly is now more enticed to trust me with whatever, whether they want to offer me a gig or whether they just, potentially down the line, because there's that already established level. So I've noticed firsthand from a very young age how like having that engagement on social media, being constantly leaving comments on other creatives and stuff, like how that can really, like I said, 100%, literally all of my income, either directly or indirectly from that method. If I wasn't doing that, bro, I have no idea how I would even do this. Like, I have no idea. It wouldn't work. That's like my go-to. And I would not recommend it how I do it, because I put all my eggs in one basket, like meaning like I rely on that pretty much completely. It's just that now where I've done it for so long, the word of mouth is kind of more there than it used to be. So I don't have to do it as much. But when things get slow and the slow months happen, it's almost always because I'm slacking in that department. It's almost always because I'm like putting the engagement down, putting the outreach down, and then I'll go for like a 2-week fucking like bender of just an hour a day, just you know what I mean? And then for some reason, that energy I put into that outreach, it kind of like comes back to me through forms of recommendations for gigs or, whatever, somebody hit me up. So that's why I do it, is not just for the money, obviously, but because like it's kind of fun. It's addicting too, to build. It's like a video game. It's like, how many comments can I get? How many like followers how can I build up this like avatar that is my Instagram profile? Yeah. And like, because it's like Gary Vee said, bro, it's there for the taking. Like, it's literally nothing is stopping anybody, any videographer, any musician, any creative person, to just sit there for 20-30 minutes a day and just find other people in their niche and just be like, yo, this is dope. Yo, DM this person. Hey, where are you based out of? Hey, let's connect. Hey, let's hop on the phone. Like, what kind of camera do you use? It's like, bro, when you do that every day for like a year, 2 years, 3 years, oh my God, bro, that snowballs into like, you actually build like a community around your page. Like people kind of like look at you as not just another dope editor or another creative guy, but like, hey, like, somebody goes on your page and they see, oh, followed by 20 people, 30 people that they also follow. And there's automatically a subconscious, like credibility thing. You know what I mean? Like, so that's the best way I can describe it.
Yeah, I ran into that throughout the years. I mean, I first ran into Gary Vee when I was about 14, and I'd say probably this year of my life is when I completely maxed out what he said. So yeah. Like that feels cool. But I did some cool things earlier in the day. And yeah, it's just been random social stuff. But I'm in a creative group chat. We've just been around for like 6 or 7 years, and there's probably 20 of us. Same. And like when you see a creator that's like followed by like 5 or 10 of those guys, you're like, oh, they're valid. Follow.
Yeah, instantly. They're not spam, right? They're not some weird person. 9 times out of 10, they could all you never know. But yeah, bro, it's like what you said about the engagement chat is like so true. Like I'm in some engagement chats that should not even exist anymore, but they're and that's another great way to like boost that personal brand, like be more intimate with people in that little group and everyone's sharing their work or whatever. And yeah, bro, I cannot stress enough how like anytime anybody asks me anything about how do I get more social media engagement, how do I get more clients, how do I get more this, more that, always go to is send 100 DMs a day. Or don't do that because Instagram will action block you. I've had it happen way too many times. But like send however much reasonable amount of DMs that Instagram doesn't like pick up on it. And not just send DMs, but like, leave comments, like engage with people. like don't be spammy about it, but like find people that you fuck with, and that takes time, right? Not every account you click on is going to be like most of the people I click on. I'm like, ugh. And I go back to the comments, not like in an offensive way, but I'm just like this. I don't even want to connect with this person because it's just so out of my scope of things. But then like, dude, it's all worth it when I find that one person and they're like another version of me, almost essentially, but like maybe slightly different. I'm like, oh, instant. Like when I found your page, it's the same exact thing. I'm like, oh, perfect. Henry follows him, Vlad follows him, all the Minnesota creatives, like all that whole thing. So I'm like, all right, and this dude does dope work. His color grades, okay, cool. Like I need to be connected for obvious reasons. I don't even know why. And now we're sitting here doing a podcast and like, the value being exchanged, and who knows who's going to watch this and be inspired, blah, blah, blah. You know the rest.
Yeah. I mean, a connected world's a better world. I'll keep saying that. It's a more fun world.
Man, I'm stealing that. I'm stealing that for sure.
Yeah. But we make it sound so systematic and ingenuine, but like it's not. Like, I mean,
it's not. No, it's not. It's actually necessary.
You can't just say, "Hey," or like hard eyes on a cool post. Like, no, you gotta look into them, invest into them. Honestly, like grow with them a little bit. Just like say what's up, what you like about them, what you're from, whatever, and then hopefully form up a connection there.
Yeah, I mean, there's people I've reached out to in the DM 4 years ago, 3 years ago that I'm still in tune with to this day. I mean, I'm sure me and you probably connected well over a year ago at least, if not longer than that. I've seen your name in my feed like plenty of times.
I think you've been here since high school, man. I think it's
same, bro. And that's like so like think about how cool that is. Yeah. Like think about how like that's so nuts. And like we've never like talked on the phone, we've never done, but like now we're doing this podcast, and I don't know you like that, but because I've just seen your work, I've seen your name so many times in my feed and over and over on my stories. There's a level of like, there's just a level of like, hey, I know what this guy's about. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Have you touched with have you done Twitter Spaces at all, or were you in the Clubhouse era?
I wasn't, man. I wasn't. I was so is Clubhouse that app that like where it's like a Discord kind of thing?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, I was. So when that just popped off as a thing, I was, Vic Blends?
No.
The barber, it's a barber guy that does gives out free haircuts on the street like that.
Okay. Yeah. I've seen that format.
Yeah. So he's like he's that guy, and I was his personal videographer back then when that stuff kind of started, when the Clubhouse stuff started popping off, and like he was around, he cut like all like the rappers in Atlanta and producers in Atlanta and all that kind of rap scene and stuff like that, and like they were all on it. And I just never really like I definitely see the value in it. It just never like pulled me in. It's definitely something that I probably should have done. I know it's probably still around too, but I just like, for me, Instagram is just such a powerful, like nothing yet so far has beat Instagram as far as like the digital business card, like ultimate connect. Like it's like your digital business card, and you can use it to outreach, and you like it's, you know what I mean. But I would definitely say like, have you tried it?
I was in Clubhouse, so that's where I got that kind of pretty notable group chat. That's where that came about. Clubhouse is no more. It kind of has gone to Twitter Spaces, and I've tried to get into it a few times, but it's just less as cool as Clubhouse was. A lot more random. But Ben Scar is a guy I talked with a few weeks back, and he kind of broke this down for me. I mean, pretty obvious if you're in the social media scene, but very insightful either way. He was rating how to connect with someone online. The lowest tier is a like. The second lowest tier is a comment on the post. Third lowest tier is just like a DM. And then that next tier is like being in a Twitter space, or being in a group call or some sort of thing, which is something me or you really exercise, minus me on Clubhouse a little bit. And then obviously besides that is a call personally with the person is above that. And then number one always is meeting them in person.
For sure.
So it's like me and you have been exercising these bottom tier ones for a while.
Yeah.
What's stopping us from hosting a space once a week, creatives tap in, kind of a thing. And because we just love talking. I mean, I know me and you are going to be more connected than we were yesterday just because we talk now and we know it's powerful. So it's like, how can I get that into my flow? So I don't know. It's something I've thought about that. I might as well get you going with it.
Yeah, I mean, just you saying that is giving me all sorts of like FOMO of like, oh damn, like I probably need to be on that, because I was just thinking about this, bro. Like I think earlier today I was on the way somewhere, I was driving, and I was like, man, like the best like comments, likes, and like all that stuff is cool, and it's necessary for the foundation of connecting with people. But like, bro, like the engagement chats, the group calls, like I was just like on my Instagram following, and I was like, damn, like I'm connected with all these creatives in all these different industries all over the world. And I've only like spoken on the phone with like a very few amount of that. I'm like, dude, I just need to like hit up these people and just be like, hey, let's hop on a call. Like, let's just like call. No, it's like not like like we're just gonna call and like just chop it up. And I've done that a couple of times, but not nearly enough as I need to.
Yeah. No, it's important to keep up with them, and they got a lot of insight, even if you're not going to that call for insight. I mean, they really do. What was I gonna be on about? Shoot, blank thought. Anyways, yeah, no, that's kind of where this pod started. Is I was on enough calls with people that online. Anyways, I'm like, why don't I just record these? At first it was awkward. It just felt like a recorded conversation, but now I got to the point where it just feels like the same as a call. And
yeah,
the reason I put them out is like, if someone has no idea how to pursue what the heck they want to do, they can take a deep dive into a young person trying to do it, or maybe they have done it, or maybe they, stuff like that. And they can hear, in the very first minute, yo, bro, it's been up and down. I'm screwed up mentally right now. And they're like, oh, that's the realness of it. Like, that's what I love about it. So,
yeah, dude, you just touched on like so many gems right there. And like, yeah, bro, like, and that's the value of being brutally honest and transparent about stuff like that. Because I know whenever I'm watching somebody on YouTube, even if it's not like a creative, I watch a lot of like spiritual channels and just stuff that talks about like consciousness and awareness and all that kind of good stuff. And there's like, even within that space of things, there's people that are kind of artificial about it and like trying to put on like a happy, like, look at me, I'm enlightened and I know the secrets to life. But then there's the people that I'm really attracted to that are like super raw. They're like, hey, full discretion, I have no idea about anything. I'm just as clueless as the next person, but I have some introspection that I want to share. I was just gonna say, like, earlier when I was telling you about the retainer thing, and I was like, damn, I'm not gonna lie, like that was a little bit on me that I lost that retainer. Like, that might not be the most attractive thing to say, and I get that, but I feel like that's again being transparent, being honest. Like, hopefully, I know there's gonna be people watching this like, oh, that's happened to me too, in some extent, in some form, and it's like. And then they can relate to that more. Now they see me as more of like a credible, you know what I mean? Like I can keep it more real like that. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I mean, we have the power to make communication more genuine growing up without it being like, an excuse to be not great. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
We're not going to bog ourselves down to the point where we're not going to do anything. Like, we're going to continue to push through. And I want to make sure that that's first and foremost, but also struggle's real, and so being honest about that and learning how to push through that, I think that'll be really important for the genuineness of people growing up. One of the cool things that I've seen with my group chats that I've seen is like, 4 years ago when like 5 years ago now, when I was like 16 years old, it was all just like, we were more connected because it was earlier into it, but it was all like camera memes and creation memes and stuff like that, and sharing each other's crappy work. And now it's like, hey, I need 3 people on set here in LA. And are you down to do this? Like, I'm not going to put myself on a pedestal, but like the people in this chat are going to, like, they're going to run the world here soon. The people in those group chats, just funny how they're calling out gigs and like, we need to go here and do this. And it's like, truly, like these people are going to be running the world, and kind of already are running the world of the creative industry here soon. So she's out to me.
I've been surprised seeing some of the crazy shit that some of these kids have done. Like, I'm like, dude, I was just in a chat with you 3 years ago, and now you're out here just working with the top rappers, doing music videos, whatever it is. I've seen people in all sorts of spaces doing cool things. I'm like, damn, that's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, specifically the music video people go hard. I mean,
Yeah.
there's one kid, he's from Northern California, and he was talking about in the group chat when he was younger. I mean, he's young. So I was 16, he was probably like 14.
Wow.
And he's like, dude, the kids are bullying me at school about this creative stuff. Like, shoot, man. And
then
now, like, now he's working with like it's a niche, like they're big artists, but maybe not known to everyone. It's just like now he is directing the like big projects, and he is younger than me.
Yeah.
One name that you might know is like Ken Carson, like
Of course.
stuff for Ken Carson.
Of course, yeah.
But that niche of
like that underground
artist work, yeah. And he's just so good with quick cuts and stuff like that, and making
what's his name
and stuff. Neve Films. Yeah. Not too connected with him, but I just remember.
Yeah, same thing. I've had like one conversation with him on DMs. I remember that name. Yeah.
I just remember him talking about getting bullied and him not sure if he can continue doing this. And now he doesn't give a heck. He just does his thing, and I'm sure he doesn't give a heck about anything. But
yeah, dude,
it was surreal. When I did my pod with Henry, it was while he was on tour with Logic.
Yeah,
it was surreal. I mean, it was surreal for him, and I'm just like, what the heck? It's so random. He had one of the fastest
come ups,
and come ups, as well as he was a creative. He was one of the best creatives, like in the fastest period of time, like a year or two.
Yeah. His work like really like it's one of those things. It's like almost like Gibson Hazard level of how like it went from what it was at first to like literally a couple of years. It was like, I mean, I'm that real estate video that he did for that one guy. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about.
Not particularly, no.
It's like on his page. It's like it's a real estate hype video, bro. I've never seen something like that in my life.
Interesting.
And it's like, I mean, it's like damn near Gibson Hazard level of like the drum, like it's just nuts, masking, like Henry style, and like obviously that all of his Logic stuff is like it's just nuts, bro.
Yeah. No, I mean my favorite transition is the one from Logic on stage to Logic in his album cover.
Yeah,
I don't know if you remember that.
Yeah, that's
one of my
next level sorcery.
It's one of my favorite things. That I've seen on video. I'm like, whoa, that really immersed me into it. But point aside, just like people are already taking on the projects, like we're at that age. So we were talking about bringing in genuineness to where we're at and what we're struggling with, whatever. And I think that's the important thing. Like we are at the point where we are leading that, and we can do whatever we want with it. So if you do it, and if I do it, maybe we'll start a whatever domino. That's
wave,
a domino, a wave, a butterfly effect. So man. What's next for you, man?
Honestly, I wish I knew the answer to that question, but I have so many. I know that I'm working on some projects right now on the passion project side of things, but they're with people that are like with companies and with people that are in like that perfect place of where I want to be at as far as like what we're working on, the type of video it is, and the culture of that. It's like in the country music, outdoor hunting scene of things. So it's very like on brand with what I want to do and my next kind of step. The format of it is great, and it's Nomad Collective. You can look them up after this or whatever, but it's my buddy Drew Seals, really dope director. And he's basically bringing me on to do what I'm best at, which is like a 30 to 90 second hype trailer, cinematic short film type stuff. Like he's already tapped in with all the people that you could possibly be tapped in with in the outdoor country music space side of things. But he just needs that extra person with that eye for that particular piece of work. And like when we first linked up last year, I showed him some of my stuff, and he was like, "This is meant to be." And so that's kind of that's what I'm predicting to be my next kind of like, that'll be my next kind of stepping stone into that world. And besides that, I just trying to stack these retainers, brother.
Yeah. No, I get it. You just diving in fully to this? You got anything else going? Or I'm diving in fully to this. I'm a DGen, so I'm assuming you're the same.
Of course, man. Absolutely. I mean, this is I can't really see myself doing anything else. And like, it's one of those things. I know you feel it too. It's an intuitive thing. You don't know exactly where it's going to lead. You don't know exactly the people, the projects, the details of it, but you do know that you have to do it. Like, there's no question about it, and there's something there. And that's what I'm running with that at this point. I've like done enough stuff, and you've done enough stuff to know that like every time you follow that intuition, that like thing, like, oh, I need to work with this person, I need to send this DM or whatever, however it looks like, it never leads you to a bad place. And even if it seems like it does, that's just a stepping stone to the next good place. So that's kind of, I'm just trying to, and also like we talk about mental health stuff, like I realized too that the more I work on mental health and the more I get myself balanced, the more I'm like able to hold space for the bigger projects, for the cooler opportunities. I've like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not to repeat the same thing twice, but dude, it's so like imperative. I've like reached my cap. I reached my ceiling of what I can take on from this state of being. And it's like, okay, cool. Let me reverse engineer this instead of trying to do more outreach, trying to make even cooler edits. Like, that's still something I'm going to do. But it's like, hey, what if I like focus on myself internally and then just see like, and then bro, the more I do that, the more everything else in my life, not just the career stuff, but everything kind of like starts like, unfolding. So that's where I'm at.
Yeah. It's funny you say that, not to bring in too new of a point, but when I first withdrew from college, I would make a term here. I was time immature. My intuition, I was not mature enough in that to fill my day up with productive things. So I can kind of see that, like, you with where you're at right now, you've reached your cap. It's very different situations, but like, it's just like so funny how that works. You would think just like if you wanted something, you could just do it right away, but it's like, no, it's a stepping stone.
Yeah.
For some reason, my first thing was just like, for some reason, going to the gym every day helped me build up that mentality. But now, like, even though it's sucky doing it every day sometimes, and I truly can like dial in and be like, this is my purpose, and it feels like I can sit down and get some good work done every day, which is a good spot. So
yeah, no doubt.
But you always want to be doing more, though. That never goes away.
Oh yeah, dude, that's like endless seeking, endless just next dopamine hit, next rush. Yeah. It's always there.
I'm excited to see where you go. Will you post something like that if you make that, or is it something that'll stay?
Yeah. No, it's like I'm literally, the timeline's right there on my computer. It's getting like pretty close to getting done. Obviously, I'm a fucking perfectionist when it comes to sound design. I'll probably spend weeks doing that. And then I'm gonna drop it, and then I have another snowboarding project that's like I haven't even started editing that yet because I'm so focused on this one. And then that's also like an area I really want to get into as well. I've been snowboarding myself for so long. I've just now brought the camera out there and like combined the two passions. And like, so like I said, anything outdoor, action sportsy, hype music stuff, like that's my bread and butter. Like, and so I just want to it's like I like a chip on my shoulder, as like in a certain sense. Like, I'm by no means claiming that I'm like a Gibson Hazard or even like a Henry level guy, but I do have a certain like thing. And I think that like, I can like, I don't even know how it's going to look like, but I just know that I have to like put these things out there and then just like whatever happens. But I feel it,
No, I totally get that feeling. But, dude, I appreciate you taking the time to hop on and talk for a bit.
Dude, pleasure's on mine. I appreciate you. I love like anytime I get to do something like this in the creative, it's like I will go out of my way because it's like this is what keeps me sane. Like this is like these conversations are like the anchor, because if it wasn't for this, I'd be like, damn, am I the only one that's mentally fucked up and broke and doesn't have a retainer?
Yeah, all of us, man. Yeah, like I said, more the connected world's a better world. So
no doubt.
But appreciate you.
I appreciate you
to your life. I'm gonna stop this and keep in touch, man.